My name is Claire, I'm 30, and last week my life shattered into pieces. On the very day I thought my family would celebrate me, my mother stood up in front of everyone and announced two things. I wasn't her biological daughter, and the inheritance my late father left for me had already been stolen. I felt the room spinning, my chest tightening, and the betrayal cutting deeper than any knife. For years, I trusted her love, only to discover it was a carefully built lie. What happened next changed me forever. Backhand index pointing right, stay with me. What I uncovered will shock you more than her cruel confession. Claire Matthews had always considered her mother, Patricia, her anchor. Growing up in Boston, she admired Patricia's strength after her father, Richard, passed away from a sudden heart attack. Patricia kept the family home together, managed the finances, and reminded Claire that her future was secured with her father's inheritance. But everything unraveled on Claire's 30th birthday. The dining room, filled with cousins and relatives, buzzed with laughter until Patricia clinked her glass for silence. Claire's heart swelled, expecting a toast in her honor. Instead, Patricia's words ripped through her soul. "Claire," she began coldly, "it's time you know the truth. Richard wasn't your real father, you were adopted." Gasps echoed around the table. Claire's fork clattered to the plate, her pulse racing. Before she could breathe, Patricia delivered the second blow. "And about Richard's inheritance, there is none. I've already sold the business. You're getting nothing." Claire's vision blurred. Years of trust crumbled in a single moment. The father who taught her how to ride a bike, the bedtime stories he whispered, the dreams he encouraged, all stolen with one revelation. "Mom, how could you?" Claire's voice cracked, trembling with disbelief. Claire barely slept that night. Her pillow was soaked with tears, but behind those tears burned a fire that refused to go out. Morning sunlight slipped through the blinds as she stared at the ceiling, feeling hollow yet strangely determined. Her phone buzzed with messages, cousins apologizing for not knowing, others offering sympathy, some simply gossiping. Claire ignored them all. What haunted her was Patricia's icy face, the way her mother's lips didn't even tremble as she ripped Claire's world apart. By noon, Claire decided she couldn't sit in silence. She stormed into the kitchen where Patricia sat sipping coffee, as if nothing had happened. "You lied to me my whole life," Claire's voice cracked but carried power. "You stole my inheritance, you stole my identity. Who am I, Mom? Who am I?" Patricia didn't even flinch. She placed her cup down slowly. "You're ungrateful," she said, her tone cold as steel. "I raised you when no one else wanted you. That money was mine to use. You don't deserve a cent." Claire's hands shook. Her body screamed to lash out, but her mind whispered, "Control yourself. Get answers." "Then tell me," Claire demanded, her voice firm. "Who are my real parents? Where did I come from?" Patricia's eyes flickered, just for a second, but Claire caught it. A crack in her armor. Instead of answering, Patricia stood and walked away, muttering, "Some doors are better left closed." Those words only fueled Claire's determination. She grabbed her father's old box of documents from the attic that night. Dust coated the lid, but inside were photos, letters, and yellowed papers. Her fingers trembled as she shuffled through them until one envelope froze her breath. It was addressed to Richard Matthews, but the sender's name made her heart race. Margaret Holly's. The letter inside revealed more than Claire could process in one sitting. Margaret claimed she had been forced to give up her daughter, and that Richard had promised to protect the child, no matter what. Claire's hands went numb. The pieces began to connect. Her mother wasn't just cruel, she was hiding something much bigger. As the night deepened, Claire whispered into the silence, "I will find you, Margaret, and I will take back everything Patricia stole." For the first time, her tears stopped. Rage and purpose had taken their place. Claire clutched the letter to her chest as if it were the only lifeline left in her crumbling world. The words etched into the faded paper repeated in her mind like a drumbeat. "I had no choice but to give her up. Richard promised to keep her safe." Safe, Claire thought bitterly. Was this what safety looked like? Being deceived, manipulated, and stripped of her future by the very woman who raised her. The next morning, she confronted Patricia again. this time holding the envelope in plain sight. "Who is Margaret Hollies?" Claire's voice was calm but sharp, like a blade against glass. Patricia's eyes widened, just for a fraction of a second, before her mask returned. "You went through his things," Patricia snapped. "How dare you?" "Answer me," Claire shouted, slamming the letter on the table. "You've lied my entire life, but not anymore. Who is she?" Patricia's silence was deafening. She turned away, her shoulders rigid, her hand trembling slightly as she picked up her coffee mug. That tiny shake was enough. Claire knew she had struck the truth. But Patricia only muttered, "She's no one, forget her. If you know what's good for you, you'll drop this." Forget her. Claire's chest burned with fury. Margaret was her real mother. She was flesh, blood, and maybe, just maybe, the answer to why her life had been one long betrayal. That evening, Claire spread the documents across her bedroom floor. Old receipts, business ledgers, family photos, every clue mattered. Hidden among the papers, she found something else. A bank statement with large, unexplained withdrawals labeled under Patricia's name. $200,000. The betrayal sank deeper. Patricia hadn't just stolen Claire's inheritance, she'd been bleeding the family business dry for years. And everyone believed she was the perfect wife, the grieving widow. Claire whispered to herself, no more secrets, no more lies. For the first time, her grief transformed into strategy. She didn't just want the truth anymore, she wanted justice. Patricia thought she had buried everything with Richard, but Claire was about to dig it all back up. And this time, the truth wouldn't just set Claire free, it would destroy Patricia. Claire knew she couldn't rush. Patricia was clever, manipulative, and dangerous when cornered. If Claire attacked too soon, she'd lose everything again. So she began quietly gathering evidence, one piece at a time. Her first step was the bank. She scheduled a meeting under the guise of handling her late father's old accounts. The banker, an older man who had known Richard for years, leaned forward as Claire asked for the archived statements. His brows knit together when he saw Patricia's transactions. "These withdrawals," he muttered. "Your father never authorized anything like this. Strange, it all started after his health declined." Claire copied everything, her heart pounding. Proof, real proof. Next, she visited the lawyer who had handled her father's will. Mr. Ellison, a weary man in his 60s, seemed hesitant at first. But when Claire showed him the bank documents and the letter from Margaret Hollies, his face went pale. "Claire," he whispered, "your father trusted me with a sealed file. He said it was for you when the time was right. Patricia forbade me to deliver it after his death, but I think you're ready." Hands trembling, Claire opened the dusty folder. Inside were signed affidavits, letters, and a revised will naming Claire as the sole heir to the family business. Patricia had concealed it all, locking Claire out of her rightful legacy. Claire's chest tightened with rage. Her entire life, her mother had painted her as undeserving, when the truth was, Richard had left her everything. That night, Claire sat at her desk with the documents spread around her. For the first time, she smiled, not out of joy, but out of resolve. Patricia thought she'd erase the truth, but Claire now had the weapons to dismantle her carefully built lies. She drafted a plan. First, confront her uncles and cousins with evidence. Then, expose Patricia's theft to the entire community. And finally, reclaim her place as Richard's true heir. Claire whispered to herself, "You took everything from me, Patricia, but now it's my turn." The game of revenge had officially begun, and Claire wasn't planning to lose. The annual Matthews family gathering was the perfect stage. Every relative, every business partner, every so-called friend Patricia loved to parade in front of would be there. And Claire knew it was time. She arrived early, dressed in black silk, simple yet commanding. Her cousins whispered as she walked in, but Claire ignored them. Her eyes stayed locked on Patricia, who sat at the head of the table with her signature smug smile. Dinner began with the usual speeches, but when Patricia raised her glass to toast family unity, Claire stood. The room quieted instantly. "Funny thing about family," Claire began, her voice calm but cutting. "It only works when there's honesty. and I've discovered our family's been built on lies." Patricia's smile faltered. "Claire, sit down. Don't embarrass yourself." But Claire didn't move. Instead, she pulled a thick envelope from her bag and placed it on the table. "These are bank records showing hundreds of thousands siphoned from Dad's accounts. Not by strangers, by you." Gasps filled the room. Patricia's face hardened. "That's absurd." "Really?" Claire interrupted, her tone sharp. She spread the documents across the table so everyone could see. "And here's Dad's real will, the one you hid, the one nomming me the rightful heir." A heavy silence fell. Her uncles exchanged stunned glances. Cousins leaned forward, eyes wide. Patricia's hands shook as she grabbed at the papers, but Claire snatched them back. "And it doesn't end there," Claire continued, her voice rising. She pulled out the letter from Margaret Holly's. "The truth about my real mother, another secret you buried. Dad tried to protect me. You tried to erase me." Whispers erupted like wildfire. Someone muttered, "She lied all these years." Another said, "Richard wanted Claire to inherit everything." Patricia stood, her mask crumbling. "You ungrateful child, I gave you a life. Without me, you'd be nothing." Claire met her eyes with icy calm. "No, without you, I'd have had the truth. You took my family, my name, and my future. But tonight, everyone sees who you really are." The room buzzed with shock, betrayal, and disbelief. For the first time, Patricia wasn't in control. Claire had taken the throne back. The room crackled with tension. Patricia's carefully crafted empire of lies was crumbling, and everyone could see it. Faces that once adored her were now twisted with disgust. Claire stood taller, her hands steady, her voice unshaken. "Claire," Patricia hissed, her tone desperate now, "you don't know what you're doing. If you destroy me, you destroy this family." Claire let out a bitter laugh. "No, Patricia, you destroyed this family the moment you chose greed over blood." Suddenly, Uncle Thomas, one of the senior board members of the family business, rose from his chair. He slammed his palm on the table. "Enough. Patricia, you've shamed Richard's legacy. As of tonight, you're removed from every position of power. Claire will take her rightful place." The room erupted in murmurs, half in agreement, half in shock. Patricia's face drained of color. For once, she had no words. Claire didn't gloat. She simply gathered the documents and walked to the center of the room, her voice firm and resolute. "I don't want revenge for myself alone. I want justice for my father, for the business, for the truth. From this moment on, I will protect what he left behind the way he intended." Patricia tried one last time, lunging toward Claire with venom in her eyes. But two cousins stepped forward, blocking her path. She was no longer feared, she was finished. The following weeks were a storm. Patricia's theft became public knowledge. The community that once admired her turned its back. Banks demanded repayment, the company board stripped her of authority, and friends she had manipulated for years vanished. Claire, on the other hand, rose from the shadows of lies. She was appointed the rightful head of the business, and for the first time in her life, she felt whole. One evening, standing alone in her father's office, Claire placed Margaret Holly's letter in a frame. She whispered softly, "I'll find you. I'll give you the daughter you lost, and I'll honor Dad's promise." As she looked out over the city skyline, the reflection staring back wasn't the broken girl who had been betrayed. It was a woman forged from fire, carrying her father's legacy and armed with the truth. Patricia had tried to bury her. Instead, she had created something unstoppable. Claire didn't just survive, she won. Patricia's eyes didn't waver. "You should thank me. Without me, you'd have nothing. I raised you, fed you, and gave you a name. Don't you dare question what I've done." Tears burned Claire's cheeks as her cousins whispered, some avoiding her gaze, others staring with pity. She wanted to scream, to shake Patricia until the lies spilled out. Instead, she sat frozen, her heart pounding with both grief and rage. That night, Claire locked herself in her room, replaying every memory. Was it all a lie? Why would her mother steal from her? And most haunting of all, who were her real parents? As the clock struck midnight, Claire made a vow. She would uncover every hidden truth, expose Patricia's betrayal, and reclaim what was stolen. The woman who destroyed her identity had no idea that she'd just awakened a storm.